some cases just stick with you, you know?
Oh, absolutely.
This Elisa Lam case is definitely one of those, all the material you sent over.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
it's almost like the Cecil Hotel itself has this,
It's got a reputation.
yeah, reputation for attracting the strange and tragic.
Yeah.
More than just true crime, it's become like a modern urban legend.
Uh-huh.
What is it about this case that draws you in?
Well, I think it's the blend of real-life tragedy with this almost mythical backdrop of the Cecil Hotel,
Uh-huh.
right in downtown Los Angeles.
Right downtown L.A.
Even before Elisa Lam disappeared, the hotel had a reputation, a dark one.
Okay, so for anyone who maybe isn't familiar with the Cecil,
Right.
paint us a picture. What's the deal with this place?
Imagine a towering building in downtown LA, a place that's seen it all.
Mm-hmm.
The Cecil attracted a lot of transients over the years, people just passing through.
Yeah.
And it became notorious for its connection to some truly disturbing events. Richard Ramirez, the Night Stalker, actually lived there for a time.
Wow, talk about a creepy resume.
Right.
So Elisa Lam walks into this place and then vanishes.
Vanishes. That must have sent chills down people's spines.
Oh, yeah. Especially after the LAPD released that elevator security footage.
Oh, on Valentine's Day 2013?
Yeah, you've seen it, right?
You have to have seen this footage, yeah.
Oh, absolutely. One of
Yeah.
those things that's impossible to forget.
It is.
And that footage is what really launched this case into the internet stratosphere.
Exactly. Yeah, it's a prime example of how the internet can turn a tragedy into a global phenomenon.
Yeah.
People were dissecting every frame, every gesture.
Mm,
It's like the whole world became armchair detectives.
right.
Everybody had a theory.
Yeah, let's rewind a bit, though, for anyone hearing about Elisa for the first time.
Yeah, yeah.
Who was she and what brought her to the Cecil?
Well, Elisa Lam was a 21-year-old Canadian student. She was on a trip along the West Coast, and she was blogging about her travels, which, a lot of young people do these days.
Sure, yeah.
But what makes her story even more poignant is that she was very open in her blog posts
Okay.
about her struggles with bipolar disorder and depression.
Yeah, that definitely adds another layer to the mystery.
Right.
She checks into this hotel with this dark past,
Right.
and then a few days later, she's gone.
Poof, gone.
What happened next?
Well, weeks went by and the mystery only deepened.
Yeah.
Then guests at the hotel started complaining about the water pressure
Mm-hmm.
and a strange taste coming from the taps.
Oh.
And that's when things took a truly horrifying turn.
Hold on. Are you telling me what I think you're telling me?
I think I am.
The water.
The water.
Oh.
Hotel staff went to investigate the water tanks on the roof,
Okay.
and that's where they found her.
Wow.
Elisa's body was discovered in one of the tanks.
That's awful.
Yeah.
And rooftop access at a place like the Cecil can't be that easy, right?
No, and that's one of those baffling parts of this whole case.
All right.
Reports suggest the roof was locked and alarmed, so unauthorized access would have been pretty difficult.
Right.
Not to mention the water tanks themselves,
Yeah.
they aren't exactly easy to open.
Right.
And then there's the issue of the lid.
Yeah.
It was heavy and awkward, seemingly impossible to close from the inside.
So how did she end up in there?
Right.
The official autopsy ruled her death an accidental drowning.
Yes, but even with that ruling, there are still so many unanswered questions.
Okay.
The autopsy report acknowledged Elisa's bipolar disorder
Yeah.
and the possibility that she might have been experiencing psychosis, which could explain some of her erratic behavior.
Okay, so let's unpack that a bit.
Okay.
Psychosis, manic state.
Yeah,
It sounds like those terms are important for understanding the case.
absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
So psychosis is a mental state where a person's perception of reality is distorted. They might experience hallucinations, delusions, or disorganized thinking.
Got it.
And a manic state, often associated with bipolar disorder,
Right.
can involve heightened energy, racing thoughts, and impulsive actions.
Okay, so could Elisa's mental state have led her to the roof and that water tank?
It's a possibility, yeah.
Is that what the accidental death theory suggests?
That's part of it, yeah.
But hold on, even if we accept that,
Yeah.
how does she get up there in the first place?
Right.
And what about that heavy lid?
Exactly.
It seems like a lot of logistical hurdles for the accidental death theory to overcome.
A lot of hurdles, and you've hit the nail on the head.
Okay.
Those logistical challenges are exactly what fuel the arguments for other theories, like the possibility of foul play.
Okay, now that's where things get really interesting.
Yeah.
Foul play. You mean someone might have been involved in her death?
It's a theory that can't be ignored.
Wow.
Some people believe Elisa might have been followed or
Uh-huh.
even coerced up to the roof, and that her behavior in the elevator footage suggests fear,
Right.
like she was trying to evade someone.
And the Cecil's history certainly doesn't help dispel that kind of thinking.
Oh, of course not.
Knowing that a place has a past shrouded in darkness
Yeah.
just makes it easier to imagine something sinister happening there.
Exactly. The hotel's groom reputation adds another layer of intrigue to the whole case.
Right.
But it's crucial to remember that a location's history doesn't automatically dictate the outcome of every event that happens there.
Right.
We need to look at the evidence objectively.
Okay, so we've got the accidental death theory, which is the official ruling, but with some pretty big question marks hanging over it.
Yes.
And we've got the foul play theory, which is hard to ignore given the circumstances.
Absolutely.
Where do we go from here?
Well, I think we need to delve deeper into the specific details of each theory.
Right.
Examine the evidence and
Yeah.
the arguments for and against each one.
Mm-hmm.
We need to separate fact from speculation to try and make sense of the conflicting narratives that have emerged around this case.
Sounds like we've got our work cut out for us.
We do.
This is definitely more than just a casual dip into a true crime story. We're diving into the deep end here.
Absolutely, yeah.
All right, we'll be back.
Okay.
Okay, so we're back, and I'm still thinking about the whole water tank thing.
Yeah.
It's
a tough one.
yeah. Let's get into the details of those two main theories.
Okay.
You mentioned that the accidental death theory has some serious hurdles to overcome.
It does, yeah.
Oh.
The main challenge is explaining how Elisa could have reached the water tank in the first place.
Right?
You know, remember we're talking about a locked and alarmed rooftop.
Right. And even if she somehow got up there,
Right.
how did she actually get into the tank?
Exactly.
These things aren't exactly designed for easy access.
No, they're not.
Right.
They're typically made of heavy-duty metal.
Yeah.
Or fiberglass
Mm-hmm.
with lids that are tightly secured to prevent contamination.
Right.
It wouldn't have been a simple task to open one,
No.
especially for someone in a state of distress or confusion.
So what are the proponents of the accidental death theory saying?
Right.
How do they explain those logistics?
Well, some have suggested that maybe there was a malfunction with the roof access or the tank itself.
Okay.
Perhaps a door was left unlocked or a lid was partially open.
Mm-hmm.
It's a long shot, but in a place like the Cecil, with its history of neglect,
Right.
it's not entirely implausible.
I guess that's possible, but it still feels like we're reaching a bit, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, even if she got up there and the tank was accessible, what about closing that heavy lid?
Exactly.
The autopsy didn't find any signs of injury that would suggest she was forced into the tank.
Right.
So she had to have closed it herself somehow.
That's the million-dollar question. How could she have closed that lid from the inside?
Right.
Some have theorized that she might have used an object
Okay.
to prop it open while she climbed in,
Yeah.
but no such object was ever found.
Okay, so let's switch gears for a minute and talk about the other big theory, foul play.
Okay.
What kind of evidence, or lack thereof, are we
Okay.
dealing with on that front?
Well, the biggest hurdle for the foul play theory is the lack of any physical evidence to support it.
Okay.
The autopsy didn't reveal any signs of a struggle, no defensive wounds, no unknown DNA at the scene.
But what about that elevator footage?
Right.
A lot of people point to her behavior in the elevator as proof that she was scared, that someone might have been after her.
Right. The footage is undeniably strange,
Yeah.
and it's certainly open to interpretation.
Right.
But can we definitively say she was acting out of fear?
Mm-hmm.
Or could her behavior be attributed to the potential effects of psychosis
Yeah.
or a manic episode?
Right.
Remember, we know Elisa was struggling with bipolar disorder.
So you're saying that her mental state could explain those seemingly bizarre actions in the elevator?
It's a possibility, yeah.
The hiding, the peeking, the hand gestures?
It's something that mental health experts have weighed in on.
Okay.
You know, during a manic episode,
Mm-hmm.
a person's thoughts and actions can become disjointed and erratic.
Right.
They might misinterpret social cues
Yeah.
or perceive threats where none exist.
So even if somebody was in the elevator with her,
Right.
even if they were acting strangely,
Yeah,
she might have misperceived their intentions because of her mental state.
exactly. It's a complex issue,
Yeah.
and it's one of the reasons why this case is so difficult to untangle.
Right.
We're trying to reconstruct events through the lens of someone
Yeah.
whose perception of reality might have been significantly altered.
It's a reminder that mental health can play a huge role in how we interpret events,
Absolutely.
both for the person experiencing those events
Right.
and for those observing them.
Yeah, absolutely. And in a case like this,
Yeah.
where we're relying on limited evidence and witness accounts,
hmm
that factor becomes even more crucial
We've talked about the accidental death theory. Yeah.
in the foul play theory.
Yeah.
But there's one more we haven't touched on yet,
Okay.
and I think it's the one that really captures people's imaginations.
I know exactly where you're going with this.
You.
The paranormal.
You got it.
Yeah.
Given the Cecil's history,
Right.
it's no surprise that some people believe something supernatural
Oh, yeah.
might have been at play in Elisa's death.
Of course.
I mean, the hotel has probably become synonymous with hauntings and unexplained phenomena.
It has. And it's easy to see why
Right.
the Cecil's long list of tragedies and unsettling events
Yeah.
provides fertile ground for those kinds of interpretations.
Right.
But as intriguing as those theories might be,
Uh-huh.
we have to tread carefully.
Right.
It's tempting to embrace the paranormal when faced with the unexplainable,
Yeah.
but we can't let our fascination cloud our judgment.
Right. We need to stick to the facts of what we can actually prove.
Yeah.
But I have to admit, there's a part of me that kind of enjoys the creepiness of it all.
It's like a real-life ghost story.
I understand the appeal.
Yeah.
There's a certain thrill in exploring the unknown,
Yeah,
in considering the possibility that there are forces at work beyond our comprehension.
right.
But we have to remember that real lives are at stake here,
Right.
and we need to approach this case with respect and sensitivity.
So where does that leave us? We've explored the accidental death theory, the foul play theory, and even touched on the paranormal.
All right.
But it feels like we're still no closer to a definitive answer.
That's the nature of this case, isn't it?
Is it?
It's a puzzle with missing pieces,
Yeah.
and we might never have all the information we need to solve it completely,
Mm-hmm.
but that doesn't mean we can't analyze the evidence,
Right.
consider different perspectives,
Yeah.
and form our own conclusions based on what we know.
You're right.
Yeah?
I think sometimes we get so caught up in finding the right answer
Right.
that we forget to appreciate the process of exploration itself.
Mm-hmm.
The journey is just as important as the destination.
And in a case like this,
Yeah.
where the journey takes us through the realms of mental health,
Mm-hmm.
criminal behavior,
Yep.
and even the supernatural,
Right.
the lessons we learn along the way
Yeah.
can be just as valuable as any definitive answer.
Okay, so we've spent a lot of time dissecting the details of the case itself,
Right.
but I think it's important to zoom out a bit
Yeah.
and look at the bigger picture.
Okay.
This case ignited the internet,
It did.
sparked countless theories,
Well, absolutely.
and brought up some serious questions about how we handle tragedy in the digital age.
Right. You're right.
Yeah.
The Elisa Lam case is more than just a true crime story.
Uh-huh.
It's a reflection of our times,
Yeah.
our anxieties,
Mm.
our fascination with the macabre,
Hmm.
and our struggle to make sense of events that defy easy explanation.
So when we come back for the final part of this deep dive,
Okay.
we're going to tackle those bigger questions.
Okay. Sounds good.
We'll explore the ethical considerations of true crime,
Right.
the impact of internet sleuthing,
Uh-huh.
and the need for greater understanding and awareness of mental health issues.
All important topics.
Okay, so we've spent a lot of time now really getting into the specifics of the Elisa Lam case.
We have.
The theories, the evidence,
Much
or the
different.
lack thereof in some cases.
Yeah.
But I want to kind of step back now
Okay.
and look at the bigger picture.
Yeah.
What can we learn from this?
Right.
What does it tell us about ourselves,
Yeah.
about the way we consume information,
Uh-huh.
about the way we approach tragedy in the digital age?
Well, you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
This case goes way beyond just the typical true crime narrative.
Mm-hmm.
It brings up so many questions
Mhm.
about how we navigate tragedy, especially when it collides with mental health, internet culture,
Yeah.
and our, insatiable appetite for mystery.
Let's start with that mental health aspect.
Okay.
Elisa was very open about her struggles with bipolar disorder and depression.
Right. How do you think that's been handled, both in the media and online?
It's mixed bag, unfortunately. It's
Is
like,
it?
on one hand, we've come a long way in terms of awareness
Yeah.
and sensitivity around mental health issues.
Mm-hmm.
People are generally more willing to acknowledge the complexities of mental illness and to empathize with those who are struggling.
But it sounds like you're saying there's another side to that coin.
There is.
What's that?
The flip side is that there's still a tendency to sensationalize mental illness,
Okay.
to use it as a convenient explanation for behavior we don't understand.
Right.
In Elisa's case, some people were quick to attribute her actions solely to her bipolar disorder,
Mm.
reducing her to a diagnosis rather than a complex human being with her own unique experiences and struggles.
That's a really good point.
Yeah.
It's like we're trying to fit her into a neat little box
Right.
labeled bipolar disorder
Exactly.
instead of acknowledging that mental illness manifests differently in everyone. Absolutely. And that kind of oversimplification can be incredibly harmful.
Right.
It reinforces stigma
Yeah.
and prevents people from seeking help for fear of being judged or misunderstood.
It's a reminder that we need to approach conversations about mental health with nuance and sensitivity.
Absolutely.
There's a big difference between acknowledging the role mental health might have played in a situation
Right.
and using it as a catch-all explanation.
Exactly. We have to be careful not to fall into the trap of reducing people to their diagnoses.
This case also brings up some, I think, pretty serious ethical concerns
Yeah.
about true crime media
Right.
and how we consume it.
Right.
Elisa Lam's story was everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
It was dissected in countless videos, podcasts, articles.
It was everywhere.
Do you think that was all handled responsibly?
That's a tough question.
Yeah.
You know, true crime has always been popular,
Right.
but the internet and social media have taken it to a whole new level.
Yeah.
It's easier than ever to get caught up in the details, the speculation, the drama.
And let's be honest, there's a certain entertainment value to it.
Of course.
Right?
Sure.
I mean, we're all here talking about this case.
Right.
So clearly there's something that draws us to these stories.
Yeah.
But where do we draw the line?
Right.
When does our fascination with true crime become exploitative?
That's the ethical tightrope we have to walk.
Yeah.
We have to remember that these are real people, real tragedies.
Right.
There are families, friends, loved ones
Yeah.
who are still grieving, still trying to make sense of their loss.
It's like the internet has turned tragedy into a commodity. Clicks, views, subscribers. It's all part of a system that profits from our fascination.
It does with the macabre. And that's where the role of internet sleuths becomes particularly interesting.
Yeah. How so?
You know, we've seen cases where their investigations have been incredibly helpful,
Okay.
shedding light on overlooked details or providing valuable new perspectives.
But there's a potential dark side to that as well, right?
Yeah.
What's that?
Online sleuthing can quickly spiral into speculation,
Yeah.
rumor mongering, and even harassment.
Wow.
People can get so caught up in their own theories
Right.
that they forget that they're dealing with real lives, real consequences.
We saw that with Elisa Lam.
We did.
People were combing through her blog posts, her social media,
Yeah.
analyzing every detail of her life, looking
Right.
for clues.
Yeah, it's like they were playing detective in a video game
Right.
instead of acknowledging the human tragedy at the heart of it all.
Yeah. It highlights the need for responsible online behavior,
Yes,
even when we're caught up in the thrill of a mystery.
of course.
Critical thinking, empathy,
Yeah,
and respect for the privacy of others are absolutely essential.
very important.
So we're wrapping up our deep dive into this case.
Okay.
What are some of the key takeaways you hope people will ponder?
Right.
What have we learned from the Elisa Lam case? And how can we apply those lessons
Right.
to other mysteries, other true crime stories, just our online lives in general?
I think the biggest takeaway is the importance of remembering the human element.
Okay.
You know, behind every headline, every theory, every viral video, there's a real person whose life was cut short.
Right.
We need to approach these stories with empathy and sensitivity,
Yeah.
remembering that there are families and loved ones who are still hurting.
It's so easy to get caught up in the details, the speculation,
It is.
the puzzle of it all.
Yeah,
But we can't lose sight of the fact that these are real lives, not just entertainment.
exactly. We also need to be critical consumers of information, especially online.
Right.
The internet can be a powerful tool for investigation and discussion,
Yeah.
but it can also be a breeding ground for misinformation and harmful speculation.
So double check those sources, consider different perspectives, and maybe take a moment to ask yourself
Right.
if you're contributing to the conversation in a responsible and respectful way.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
And finally, let's keep talking about mental health.
Absolutely.
Elisa Lam's story reminds us how important it is to understand and destigmatize mental illness.
Yes.
Let's advocate for better resources, support systems, and more open and honest conversations about mental health.
Couldn't agree more.
Well, we've covered a lot of ground today.
We have.
This case is a tangled web of mystery, speculation, and tragedy.
It is.
And while we might never know exactly what happened to Elisa Lam,
Right.
her story serves as a powerful reminder
It does.
of the complexities of mental health,
Yeah.
the ethical dilemmas of true crime,
Uh-huh.
and the ever-evolving landscape of online information.
You know, it's cases like this that remind us that sometimes the
Yeah.
most compelling mysteries are the ones that remain unsolved.
Right.
They challenge us to think critically,
Yeah.
to question our assumptions,
Mm-hmm.
and to grapple with the uncomfortable truth that we may never have all the answers.
And that's okay.
It is.
Sometimes the journey of exploration is just as valuable as the destination,
It is.
even if that destination remains shrouded in mystery.
Right.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the Elisa Lam case.
My pleasure.
We hope it's left you with more questions than answers
Absolutely.
and a renewed sense of curiosity about the world around you.
Yeah.
Until next time, stay curious, stay informed,
Stay safe.
and most importantly, stay compassionate.